Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Shout out to the 90% of friends, family, and colleagues that I can see here, and the 10% who probably happened on here by chance, all thought they were coming to see a Prince impersonator. I got bad news, I'm not. I'm here to talk to you about maximizing the value of first-party data in a third-party world, which is a title which is mysterious enough to imply a lot of things, I think. As you can see, I can already see like the attention is drawn to this globe here. This wasn't actually drawn with AI. It was actually drawn with MS Paint and a trackpad. I spent quite a long time spraying the individual blue in. I tried to draw the UK and then found it too difficult, so it's more abstract. But kicking into it, as you can see from the two logos in either corner, I'm here speaking on behalf of Treasure Data, who you might know. But I actually work for Informa, who you might not know. But I'll actually get into who they are a little later. My title is Marketing Intelligence Director, which is probably vague enough to justify me spending part of my workday on MS Paint drawing globe. But hey-ho. I do want to just frame up front that despite my meanderings that you're all going to go through here, I do have a point, right? By about slide 18, you will find out the value of first-party data, why it's so important, the risk of third-party data, and how to personalize effectively using first-party data. But you're going to have to bear with me until we get there. Okay, here we go. Oh, I trademarked that, by the way, just in case anyone wants to steal it. I don't know how trademarks work, but I thought that works. All right, so basically I was pretty nervous. And so I've never done anything on this scale before. So what I figured is I would go and do what any data professional would do in my position in 2024, and I'd ask ChatGPT. And I said to ChatGPT, okay, what are the tips for guaranteeing success in a data presentation? And what I figured is I'm pretty early in the day, so if there's any speakers here, feel free to steal this advice because it's open to all. Number one, pick and choose the data that suits your narrative. I think this is so important, right? Data storytelling is an exercise in choosing the data that suits the story you're trying to tell and throwing out the rest. Pick the data that suits the narrative is so important. Number two, use cool, obscure, somewhat hard to read graphs. This is a key one for me, right? Bar charts, pie charts. I know they're easy to read, but it's not 2004, it's 2024. Use histograms and waterfall charts and all these vague, hard to interpret graphs because they're much more impressive. Number three, include exciting animations. I don't really need to say any more than that. Number four, throw in as many references to AI and LLMs as possible, right? This is, when I got this, I was amazed because I'm 2 slides in and I've done 95% of this guide. So according to this, I'm killing it already. But number 5, don't say anything that can get you sued or fired, right? So this is a real conversation I had with the global head of privacy at Informa. And I said, listen, I'm intending to say some things, and this is the frame of what I'm saying. And there was a lot of feedback. There was a lot, I don't think you can say this, I don't think you can say that. And I said, well, suppose I say a statement of immunity. And he said, okay. So providing it up front, I make it clear to everyone in the audience that by no means do the views I relay here in any way, shape, or form represent the stance, position, or format of Informa PLC. What I'm saying to you today is based only in aimless conjecture, no actual representation of any sort of reality. So, now that's out of the way, I'm free. I'm free to explain to you who is Informa. Who is Informa, in my opinion? Well, we needed a Big Data London answer. I needed to tie this to data somehow. And so what I did is I say this thing. When people ask me who the hell's Informa, I have an answer. And I say it's the biggest British company nobody's ever heard of. But obviously this is Big Data London. How do I prove that? So what I did is I took the FTSE 100, right? We're 41st in terms of market cap. And so I took the top 41 companies and I used a tool called SEMrush, which some marketers here might be familiar with, and I pulled the monthly web traffic of every site listed in the top 41. Then I laid them out and I ranked them according to web traffic off the top 41. And what I found out is that we're not the biggest. We're in fact the 8th biggest. So we have about 63,000 visitors to Informa.com every month, which, for an idea of scale, is roughly equivalent to the 1995 film Space Jam. Now, I'm not talking about the re-release with LeBron James. I'm talking about the original website of Space Jam. Has the same number of visitors as Informa.com. So the real answer to this is, oh crap, we're the 8th biggest British company nobody's ever heard of. Oh, I'm very impressed by this. Look at that. I've always wanted to do this. Anyway, okay, so with that in mind, let's go back to the data presentation checklist. I think I've ticked off, balls. Oh, sorry. It's meant to tick off, include exciting animations. You're just going to imagine that, but it's true. All right, but that doesn't really tell you who actually Informa is. So here are a series of 6 images. Now, I'm going to ask a question, but it's a rhetorical question because there's no audience participation here. Which of these do you think are associated with an Informa event? The rhetorical answer to the rhetorical question, which I'm not expecting an answer for, is all of them. There is an Informa show for every show under the sun, and because of the obscurity of these, I had to write some of this down. So, Foam Expo Europe, bottom left, right? The direct quote from a CEO attendee was, "The whole foam industry is here." Who is in the foam industry? I mean, how big can that audience be? Is it like 18 people in the room? Lord knows. The tagline's your gateway to foam innovation, in case you're wondering. All right, there's the International Pool, Spa, and Patio Expo. The early bird rates for that end today, so if anyone's keen, definitely sign up. There's also Deck Expo, which is crazy to me because what denotes the difference between a patio and a decking, I think, is a real existential question. Cool, all right, I'm gonna pick 2 of my favorite shows, right? This one is called the Monaco Yacht Show. There's about 20,000 attendees, but it's people you and I will never interact with in our daily lives. And that's because this show, they actually sell yachts, super yachts, on site. So there's 120 super yachts available to purchase or charter at the event, right? There's 50 tenders. Now, I know you were gonna ask, what the hell's a tender? I didn't know what a tender was. A tender is a little boat that gets you to your big boat. There's 50 little boats on sale to get you to big boats here. This is really nuanced stuff. And it's got my favorite FAQ question of all time, which is, if I reach the show by sea, where should I berth? I mean, that's better. I bet that FAQ section for here was like, can I bring my own snacks or something less glamorous than that? And then, okay, I'm sure you're all familiar with like Zillow or Rightmove, but there's like a selector at the top, obviously, for all of these sites where you specify how much you want to spend, you specify the location. Well, guess what? There's one for this site. And the purchase price starts in millions. So it's just so much fun. Obviously, this is me pitching to go to the Super Yacht Show, in case anyone's interested. My other show, which is going to be more relevant for the discussion I'm going to have, is Tissue World. Tissue World Miami. There is a whole show dedicated to tissues. There can't be that many tissue industry specialists in the world, but apparently there's enough for a show. Not only that, if you miss Miami, you can go to Düsseldorf. There's 2 shows dedicated to tissues. No. If you miss Düsseldorf, you can go down the road to Istanbul. This is the craziest thing. Istanbul and Düsseldorf aren't even that far away, right? You've got 2 shows correlating with each other. Is there something specific to the Turkish tissue industry that differs from the German one? I don't know, but these are all questions. I'm just asking more questions than answers here. If that's not enough tissue content for you, there's a magazine, a year-round subscription for all your tissue needs. I don't think the tagline's actually for your year-round tissue fix. I feel like I need to clarify that. But, okay. I think that's covered off. Which one is meant to dynamically cover off here? Exclude exciting animations as well. There's meant to be the little paper aeroplane which flies off in the distance. It didn't work, but hey-ho. All right, I'm 18 slides in now, and I haven't actually got to my actual point. So this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to explain to you what the different derivations of data are. First-party data. First-party data is the internet before the internet. It's the Argos catalog to your door. It's the milkman that has your address. That's all first-party data. What I wanted to do here is basically frame an example, right? This is Andy. Okay, Andy signs up to attend Tissue World Istanbul 2024. Andy is a marketing director at a large tissue manufacturer. By the way, Andy's not real. Okay, don't go looking in Tissue World for Andy. I've just made him up. But he attends sessions on the future of tissue sustainability. Right, that's first-party data. We're all clear? Second-party data is Informa partners with Kleenex. Now, up front, according to the legal justification I've just shared with you, I have to clarify, so I don't affect share price. Informa is not partnering with Kleenex. This is a purely hypothetical situation. But in the scenario they did, they would run a data clean room to share insights and partner marketing. Andy would be part of that crossover data set, and that he would be second-party data, because there's two parties involved. Third-party data. A vendor specializing in email marketing, specifically for the tissue industry, I'm sure there's loads of them, buys Andy's email from a sales list, right? We're all familiar with this. I'm sure there's many marketers here. Third-party enrichment services are a dime a dozen these days. It's cheaper than ever. But they enrich it using third-party service to pull job title, company, and team size to then launch a marketing campaign to him. So what? So why do I care? Right, this is Andy. Andy lives in Walthamstow. How have I pulled this? LinkedIn. Andy earns around 80 to 120K. How have I pulled that? Job title plus salary plus location, feed it to an API, pull estimated salary. Andy's stated interests include family, M&Ms, and scary toilets. Let's stop at family for a second. I spoke to a third-party data provider on an enrichment exercise, and I said, how are you pulling interest data? And they said, part of our source is resumes and CVs. So it turns out, when you submit resumes and when you submit your CVs to job applications, in the T's and C's, they can sell that data on. And they do so. So when you say wholesome things like family, humanitarian endeavor, and whatever interest you make up on the spot to make yourself look good, that actually gets captured and is then tied to you as a professional. M&Ms and scary toilets. Now, where am I going here? It was meant to be more dramatic with the animations, but hey-ho. M&Ms and scary toilets. This is real. So this is a real person. I enriched a bunch of random contacts to pull an example data set. And I found that this person has a Twitter account listed in his interests categorization. And it's this Twitter account. If I can get there. Apparently not. Oh, wait, no. Okay, the animations sort of work. This Twitter account, toilets with threatening auras, 212K followers. Andy, our hypothetical Andy, his name's different, is actually one of those followers, right? So what does this mean? How have they done this? How is this possible? Well, at no point did Andy accept one of these privacy agreements. He didn't, know that his data was being shared in this format. But what happens is Andy goes on LinkedIn. Andy has a LinkedIn profile. On LinkedIn, he posts his Twitter profile. Now, if you pay Elon enough, you get access to the Twitter API, which means at scale, I can scrape and taxonomize interest-following data from Twitter and tie it 100% to a professional profile. And just to give you an example, right? I should have, but if there was a slider, let's call it the slider of controversy from not that controversial to insanely controversial, scary toilets would sit nearer not that controversial into what I found. Some things I literally could not put on this presentation. But the message I'm trying to say is your data is more accessible, more viewable, more pullable than ever before. So, all right, now I'll actually get into the meat of things. Overuse of third-party data has increased the value of first. What do I mean by that? I don't need a graph. I don't need to show you a graph to tell you that emails have been increasing year on year. But I have one anyway. 2017 to 2026. 2026 is projected 392 billion emails. That's more than a billion emails a day. And it's just increasing by frequency. And we all know what's around the corner. HubSpot's State of Generative AI 23 report, 2023, by the way, this is obviously in the onset of AI at scale, said 38% of marketers currently use AI to write emails, and 21% of salespeople who use AI class it as most useful for writing messages to prospects. Now, You overlay that. I use Product Hunt as a sort of barometer. Product Hunt, for those that don't know, it's like a list of all the new tools coming out that are accessible to all. And it's a good way to understand what is the next wave of tech coming. And 810 products are live today on the Product Hunt, specifically dealing with AI email. What do I mean by that? All that third-party data of Andy is in a database. It used to be the case that I had to write all the personalized outreach, referencing all those data points, referencing all that stuff. Now it's one click, batch, send to an API, done. So the emails in your inbox are going to get busier, they're going to get more crowded, and they're going to get more, in inverted commas, personalized. I'm going to be getting tissue references all over the place, according to my browsing history now. All right, yeah, so this part was, constantly reference AI. I think we can all agree I've covered that off. And for clarification, everything's almost covered here. So what can I do? Right, this is Andy. We've met him before. Andy trusted Tissue World with his personal data. When you get given data, you are entrusted with that data, right? It's your responsibility in your company to protect that data and to action that data. Andy wants Tissue World to help his business grow. Like, it's the other sponsors of this event, right? If you're an exhibitor here, you want to help Big Data London in correlation to help your business grow and promote your business. Andy doesn't want to be bombarded with irrelevant information. He expects his experience to be personalized. People offer this information not just for the hell of it. They offer this information because they want you to personalize their experience. They want to make your content relevant for their own experience, and that's fundamental. So I vaguely categorize it into identify, protect, and personalize. And walling off, once you've identified what your first-party data is, right, what does your company know about your customers that makes your pitch and your data unique? It's so important to wall it off completely. Don't feed it into LLMs, open source LLMs. Don't do anything crazy like that. Wall it off, because the onslaught of cold outreach is just going to get worse. And personalize. All right, so I'm almost at the end. I still haven't spoken about who Treasure Data is. Let's start with Informa. Informa has 12,000 websites, right? 12,000 websites across 640 brands. So when you go on Tissue World, that's your user ID being Stitch. You could then, I don't know, visit a stand. You could go on another Informa property. You could download a publication. You could sign up to Tissue World magazine. All of these are interactions which are captured about that user, right? And in order to facilitate a 360 view on the user, we use Treasure Data because they are a CDP provider, a customer data platform, which basically is a tool to give you a 360 view on each one of your users. A CDP enables us to protect, segment, and personalize at the requisite scale according to our user base. That's the most important thing here. Recently, I'm sure you guys might have heard of TechTarget. We merged with TechTarget, right? TechTarget have an inbuilt intent scoring system around their content sites. So basically, if I'm looking for a CDP provider and I look for an in-depth article, let's say more pertaining to someone who's at the end of the sales cycle, that score will be higher than someone who's looking for just general providers. So obviously the next stage is, how do I use that scoring model and tie it to in-event behavior? How do I know that Andy just went to this talk on tissue sustainability? How can I effectively market within the realms of first-party marketing to line that vendor up relevant to sustainability to Andy? That's the exercise we're doing, and that's what Treasure Data does, right? And then the last thing I want to say is personalization, right? I think in our collective minds, it tends to be email, right? That's the most common format of personalization at scale. It's the most regular thing we see day to day, but it doesn't have to be that, right? I know the next default is, all right, I can do ad personalization. I can do ad personalization based upon slight taxonomy, but you can do much more. So this is something that my team did. This is a personalized landing page. We sent this to every single event attendee at a licensing show, Licensing Expo 2024, and what they did is, it was their show broken down for them, right? So we got Smurfs to sponsor it, so everyone got a Smurf. No one got Grumpy Smurf or Hefty Smurf. Can you believe that's a Smurf? I honestly was amazed. But no one got those to prevent offense being taken. we overlaid with primary stats. We then personalized the experience based upon their behavioral activity. So anyone who's brand new to the show got licensing unlocked, which is a package to basically say, you're new to the licensing industry, here's what you should know, X, Y, Z. And then we had personalized articles, basically based upon their content preferences. So we have browsing behavior, tracker behavior, so we basically translate that to personalized article links to make sure what they're seeing, the article follow-ons, are relevant to them. And just for context, we got, I think, a 18.45% click rate on this. So really, really successful. And it shows that email it doesn't have to be email. Using those personalization assets in something more dynamic than email actually gives you more opportunity to do a lot more. Thank you. That's basically it. Trademark. Sorry.